So, apparently, there are teachers being fired for being woke. I have no doubt about this, but right-wing propagandists have been capitalizing on this for propaganda purposes, trying to push this idea that woke is dying and that it's happening organically, or that at the very least they claim that society has finally come to their senses and realized that wokeness is bad, and that's why these teachers are getting fired. Now, I haven't seen this video yet. We're going blind. We're going in blind on this right-wing propaganda. We're going to be picking apart by this channel named, I think it's called like Yinka That Guy. Interesting name. But this guy makes some hardcore right-wing slopaganda. So I thought we'd go ahead and pick apart this video. Based school kid shuts down woke teacher for pushing trans ideology. And then this happens. So yeah, a lot of the videos center around woke teachers getting fired or epically owned by teenage students. So I'm curious to see what this is all about. What's all the hubbub about? I've never covered this channel before, so it should be interesting.
You're not gonna like me for saying this, but you know what? I don't care. America, I think it's time we form a state where only women can live. No men allowed. Just an estrogen-filled utopia where we can all finally live in peace.
Wow, look at you making a video saying, I think we should do this instead of actually doing this. It's very easy to take your phone out, the phone.
What? That's your critique? Really? That's your critique? The lady claims that she wants a woman ethno-state, and your response is, well, if you want a woman ethno-state, why don't you make one? Not pointing out why it's cringe to want a woman ethno-state or a man ethno-state. At the end of the day, people like this guy and that, like, crazy femcel type that we just saw a clip of are two sides of the same coin. Neither of them are normal. Neither of them are well-adjusted. Neither of them have an appropriate understanding or relationship with the opposite sex. They're both weirdo, I guess, gender warriors of their own sort.
That's made by men. Record yourself making a video saying what we should do. It's very easy to talk, but when it comes to actually putting your thoughts into action, that's where the issue comes. And a lot of you do a lot of talking and saying you're going to do certain things, and you don't do anything about it. You want other people to do it for you while you make stupid videos.
Is this the angle you're going at that from? Okay, all right.
Was lighting your candle as if you look like some sort of intellectual when you're not.
13% of the population is black in the United States, but we make up 40% of abortions. Is there something wrong with that?
Yes, our education system.
Our education system from the poverty level? What?
Displacement of wealth. And
How's that a what moment? Why do you think people get abortions? Most people want to have kids, I imagine. I mean, that's what the whole fundamental basis of this, like, Americans need to start more families movement is. That's how you seek out happiness, start a family, right? So if people can't afford to start a family and they're getting abortions because pregnancies are unwanted because they can't afford to start a family, don't you think that the financial struggles of the black community have at least some kind of an effect on the rate at which black women get abortions compared to white women? Is that not a factor? Are we going to pretend like that has nothing to do with it at all? Okay. No argument, just a funny gif.
Because people are broke, they should just abort their babies then. I think it's a convenience issue. Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, said, my #1 job.
Yeah, so this is their, like, go back to every time thing, is that, like, 100 years ago when Planned Parenthood was founded, the original founder was a massive racist and, like, a eugenics lady. Mind you, everybody was like that back then, but, like, in what world, by the way, are we allowed to criticize any of the prominent American heroes and figures throughout history for having been racist, right? Like, we're always talking about, like, why do we celebrate George Washington? He owned slaves. And they're like, whoa, listen, everybody was racist back then, okay? Everybody owned slaves back then. It's not that big a deal that George Washington did too. He was a great man. We can respect him for the things he did that were good, and we can denounce him for the things he did that were bad, and we can have charitability. Everybody argues this when you criticize, say, George Washington or anyone else like that. But Margaret Sanger, who was just as racist and eugenics pilled as any other chud around at that time, like 100 fucking years ago, for some reason, not the same energy. That's why Lincoln over Washington, well, even Lincoln was, like, pretty, he was chill, but not as, like, heroically based in anti-slavery as we do like to sort of make him out to be. Like the way what we learn, like Lincoln, as we learn about him in history, is probably how, in hindsight, he would have liked to have been. I guess you could put it.
Is to exterminate the Negro population because they are a less than race. It's okay for the founder of that organization to have said that thing.
By the way, nobody is forcibly sterilizing black women or forcing them to get abortions. At least not yet. I mean, Republicans might start pushing for that, but in the meantime, right to have an abortion is a choice. All right, no population chooses to genocide themselves. This is not how genocide works. That's not how extermination works. Like, no.
I don't know that. I haven't done any research on anything that you're talking about.
Once again, another case of these people not caring, but then they'll say they care. They care about black people, they care about women, but the only black people...
That's true. What helps black people is taking black women's rights away. Black women having autonomy over their bodies is actually bad for them because the lady who founded Planned Parenthood, which is one single place that provides abortions, mind you, the vast majority of the services they do provide are not abortion-related services. The vast majority of their services are prenatal care, meaning like care for expecting mothers who are planning to have their baby. Unfortunately, the right has demonized it quite a bit, but Planned Parenthood helps Planned Parenthood. That's why that's the name. The whole point, like, the reason why it's so heavily associated with abortion, that is not their branding. That is not their doing. That's Republicans for decades demonizing Planned Parenthood, making it so that when you thought Planned Parenthood, you thought abortion, and when you heard abortion, you thought Planned Parenthood. They've tied those concepts together so tightly that no actual argumentation has to be done to associate them together, despite the fact that if you look at the data, Planned Parenthood is not the only place giving abortions. So this argument about how it's hurting like black people or some kind of anti-black genocide because of Margaret Sanger is irrelevant. And on top of that, most of their services have nothing to do with abortions. Like by a lot, most of their services have nothing to do with abortion or canceling pregnancies or preventing pregnancies.
And the only women they care about is the women and black people that fall under the category of the things that they believe in. They're literally brainwashed sheep that come out protesting, and when you go against their agenda and when you throw them off their script, they don't know how to think. They really can't think without the script. They can't think without social media telling them what to
Okay, debate me then.
say. They are programmed robots, and the more people see that, the more you'll begin to understand how stupid a lot of people really are.
The people united will never be defeated. No Trump, no KKK, no racist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no racist USA. Up with liberation.
Keep in mind, this is bad, but raiding the Capitol and killing multiple people, trying to overturn a fairly lost election on their part, totally fine. Peaceful protest as they raid the Capitol, but that, unacceptable. It must be stopped.
Yes, grown progressives doing what they do best, which is just shouting and chanting like a bunch of kids. Good job.
That's what a protest is, retard.
A woman should not be rejected because of her weight. You say that. Why is that?
Help me. You can't just reject women because of the face or the weight.
So let me just remind you a few of your positions. Mm-hmm. You don't want to date Chinese men. You don't want to date men with small penises. You will only date men. In fact, it's not just that. You think
hypergamy! Whoa! For those that don't know, the whatever people, the chuds, the red pillars, the incel types, they push this theory of hypergamy, which is the idea that, like, let's say you break down all of the women in America or on Earth into quadrants, or not quadrants, but percentiles. 10
It's
equally.
also because they don't like the thought of an institution promoting safe sex, family safety, single parent support, and women health care.
Truth nuke, Vault Hunter. Very true, and thank you for the $5, and thank you for adding that. But of course, these red pillar types, like on the Whatever podcast, for instance, they push this theory of hypergamy. So if you imagine that, like, all the women in the world, you could break them up into 10 equally sliced categories of attractiveness, like 1 out of 10. They argue that all 100%, for the most part, of women are only going to the top 30% equivalent of men. They have this theory of looks match, right? Like you've got a woman who is a 5 and a guy who's a 5, so they're a looks match. And they claim that under normal circumstances, if a woman is a 5, then she should be dating guys that are like maybe a 3, but like a 4, a 5, or a 6. Like that should be her range that she aims for. Yet right now with hypergamy in their theory, all the women are going to the top 20 or 30% of guys, depending on how generous they are. This is based entirely off of dating app data. Because while this does not happen in the real world, on dating apps, that is what happens. The top 20% of guys get all the attention. Now, here's the main thing. Does this mean, under the incel theory, that I'm a Chad? Or in the top 20% of men in attractiveness? Because I used Tinder, like the day I turned 18, I installed Tinder on my phone, and I got to work. And it did not take me long to lose my virginity. But, like, I got lots of matches. And plenty of play on Tinder. So does this mean that I'm in that top 20%? Do I just not see the incel perspective because I'm in that category of dudes that is not suffering due to hypergamy? Maybe the incels are right and I'm just one of the Chads, guys. I think that's pretty unlikely, though. I think what's probably more likely is that even on dating apps, this hypergamy trend or theory is not as real as we pretend it is.
I think men who are below 5'11", 180 centimeters are not real men. And men can't control their height. Women can control their weight. So if you can reject a guy because of his height, why can't a man reject a woman because of her weight?
I think it's different.
Why is it different? I would argue that it's more unjust or unfair to reject a guy because of his height, because he can't control it at all, than it would be to reject a woman because of her weight, which is something that she has control over.
No, I think if a man judge woman like from the weight, it's just disrespectful.
Don't you think it's disrespectful to judge a man based on his
No, I don't
size
I
or
need
height?
to judge a man.
Women...
Because
Like, if you don't know, the Whatever podcast, they just bring on the biggest hoes. Like, they're in Miami Beach. That's where the podcast goes from. They find, like, the types of women you find that are out clubbing every night on Miami Beach, walking up and down that, like, strip of road, Ocean Drive, and they, like, pose and take photos for their Instagram with every supercar parked along the row of, like, clubs and everything and hotels. None of them are their cars, but they just want to post them posing with a lot of expensive things on social media. Like, we're talking about the most vapid hoes ever. And I don't consider the term hoe sexist. I think we've entered this era where we need it. We need this phrase again. We need it to come back because these incels have managed to propagandize to men that this is what women are like. This is not what women are like. There have always been hoes. Some guys are hoes. Some women are hoes. That's just we have this phrase, don't try to turn a hoe into a housewife, right? This is a phrase that goes back decades, all right? Like, I just, like, but, you know, you get the Whatever podcast, they find these, like, the hoiest hoes to bring on their show and be like, this is how women think. This is why you stand no chance. This is what women hate you. They want to judge you. They want to put you down. Dating's a humiliation ritual for you. And they want you to feel attacked by this lady so badly. They want you to feel under attack. And for that feeling of being under attack to be transformed into a hatred for women entirely. They want you to generalize all women like this lady.
I'm choosing the man.
You're choosing the man.
Yeah, so I need to judge him.
Men are also choosing you.
I don't care.
So it's only bad if men do it?
Mm-hmm.
So men can't judge women, but women can definitely judge men.
Yeah.
I don't know how people come out with a straight face saying that you shouldn't be able to reject the opposite sex based on characteristics and traits that they can change. And the traits that they can change shows that...
I'm noticing now that the title of this video has nothing to do with what the video is about. So I'm guessing this is just clickbait title, of course. That's just the standard fare for right-wing grifters.
They're actually a consistent person and they're actually good traits to have. They're saying you shouldn't be able to reject someone because of the fact that they are unhealthy, but they will be able to reject you based on the fact that you're not 6'17" and you're not a giant. But if you reject them based on their body weight, you're an evil person.
Why do liberals always act like this?
Before we get back to the video, make sure you guys like the video as much as possible, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also mainly...
Nope, do that for me instead.
Hit the notification bell so that you're notified when a video comes out. Also, go and subscribe to my new Facebook channel. It'll be linked down in the description below. So go and subscribe there.
We need more slopaganda.
And Mr. Beast, when you finish with this, can you do 100 women versus accountability? So I set up the obstacle course here for you with varying levels of difficulty. And on the first 10, they're going to have to admit how actually they were the narcissist and not their ex-boyfriend. On the second 10, they're going to have to admit how their poor selection of single, miserable feminist friends.
Once again, we're talking about hoes here. Like, if we're actually talking about real cases where this has happened, because there are women who are like the descriptors that you're hearing. There are also a lot of dudes that are like this too. You ever hear all those dudes that are like, I have the crazy, my ex was crazy, my ex was so crazy, she was just crazy, bro. Yeah, like, men and women have always been like this, so, like, we're not talking about women versus accountability, we're talking about hoes versus accountability. Like, I feel, how is it that I am the like feminist one for being like, no, we're not talking about women here. We're talking about hoes. Like, what? How is that? How is that the feminist position in the year 2026? How fucked are we, bro? How fucked is everything right now that I have to remind people, hey guys, not all women are like this.
And keep them single and miserable and hating men
Most
as well.
women
Finally,
aren't
on the
like
last
this.
10, if there's any left at this point, they just have to call their dad and apologize.
Even people who called me by the right pronouns really consistently, there was this gap in this jump in their thinking where they would automatically then call me mom. I was like, wow, does it not occur to you that mom is...
I reiterate, they will say a whole bunch of nothing, but morons will think they're geniuses. Yeah, it's like one of the biggest downsides, or one of the biggest, I guess, hindrances to the left succeeding is that to even have a reason to upload as a progressive figure, like, you have to actually have something to say. But with these chud grifters, they can put out propaganda that actually moves people or solidifies people into their views without actually having anything to say or anything of, like, importance or value to make a video about and upload on. Like, for me, I have to, like, really find good topics to cover where I have something to talk about, something to actually say. But with these chud grifters, you know, they just throw together a bunch of random clips and just farm off of it, I guess.
A gendered word, but it really just didn't. It was like pronouns are in their own little bucket, and then other gendered words were somewhere else. And then another version of that is I certainly have friends who are transmasculine, who are non-binary, who went through pregnancy, and because of the way sex is...
Nobody is immune to having a hoe phase. Shaming people for having a hoe phase earlier in life just shows jealousy. Okay. Like, a hoe phase is like a incel meme talking point. Let's be real. Like, having regular sex during portions of your life is not a hoe phase, okay? Now, cheating and, like, leading people on and doing all of the things that incels stereotype women as doing, that's being a hoe, okay? Like the entire incel movement is centered around taking examples of women who are hoes that, frankly, most women wouldn't even get along with or like in the first place. Frankly, most of the women that the incels base their entire stereotype about women on are the type of women that other women hate because they were bullies and mean and bitches to them in like high school, the workplace, any given situation. So we're not even talking about girls here that the right sort of stereotypes all women as now. But yeah, we're talking about a very select group that's being generalized, like anecdotally generalized broadly. And that's how you get all these dudes to see the world through incel goggles.
And sizeism work. Folks at work were just like, oh, he just let himself go. He just got a pot belly. And never once questioned, why was this person growing a belly only directly in front of them? And then went on leave for 3 months and came back without the belly. And everyone was like, okay, well. And at no point questioned whether this was a pregnant person, right? Because they happen to be stealth at their job.
You really can't please people like this. They will complain till their faces are blue. They want to cry about something, and I've mentioned this before, that they want to be a victim of something. Even if you were to say the correct pronouns according to these people's stupid ideology, he still wants to be offended by something. They want to be victims of something, and that's why they should compete in the Victim Olympics.
What I'm saying is
I mean, like, I can just find a clip of someone on the right being just as insufferable and say the same about you.
Entirely focusing on the opposite party.
Actually, I can just use you as an example. Every conservative is as dumb as this guy.
Any responsibility away from your side.
Name one time in the past year that the right has carried out an act of violence against the left. One time in the past year.
Well, actually, let's look at the data. Name one example. Name one anecdotal example, because that's what we base all of our worldview on. Violence, left versus right, America. Independent databases, including studies outlined by the University of Maryland's PIRIS dataset, show that right-wing violence accounts for roughly 75 to 80% of U.S. domestic terrorism fatalities since 2001. High casualty incidents include the 2015 Charleston church shooting, the 2018 Tree of Life synagogue attack, and the 2019 El Paso Walmart shooting. We also got the famous Unite the Right rally, where James Alex Fields murdered Heather Heyer. Of course, these people deny that, but yeah. We don't go off of, like, well, can you think of a recent example? Whoever's got the most recent example that everyone knows, that's who does the most violence. No, that's not how we actually operate. We actually go off of the crime data, because that exists. We can actually prove who commits the most violence with data. Isn't that crazy? We don't need, like, little anecdotal examples to pretend like that has any bearing on that data.
Name one.
I probably can't.
Okay, I could name a dozen examples. Savannah Craven violently attacked in the streets of New York City. She's a reporter. Savannah Hernandez attacked 2 weeks ago in Minneapolis for being right-wing, being labeled a fascist. She's a reporter. Nick Schroeder was attacked 3 times in the span of an hour in Minneapolis for being a reporter. The President of the United States was shot at 2 nights ago. Charlie Kirk was murdered behind a table just like this one 6 months ago. I can name you infinite examples of left-wing violence against conservatives. You can't name one in the past year.
I seem to see a lot of this. They make...
Yep, literally, if you can't think of an example that was recent, then it doesn't happen. But meanwhile, we look at the data, it's like, yes, 75 to 80% of political terrorism in America is done by conservatives. Mind you, this is including, like, Islamic terror in the factor, right? Like even with the, like, Islamic terror problem that chuds think we have, like, still the right is doing the vast majority of it.
Claims, you ask them for the evidence and they have no evidence for the claims that they make. I don't know how you can live such a life where you say certain things are happening but you can't cite where these...
I mean, I just cited the data.
Certain things are happening, but you believe they're happening though, but you don't know where. You can't tell us where, but they're definitely happening.
As we are here at the Pink Ladies protest, only for me to arrive.
Yeah, I got absolutely no data, for sure. You got me, man.
And to realize that there's a counter protest. Can you believe that there are people out here countering an anti-protest? Today I'm actually committed to getting to an answer. Hopefully they don't kick me out this time. And let's go. Sorry, do you have anything to say? They're dead. But they're dead. Do you have anything to say? I think it's wrong. They're dead. Do you have anything to say? What do you say about why they've been killed by migrants? I'm talking about women today. Do you have anything to say? I'm asking you what you have to say. You'll come over here. No, I'm asking you the question. What do you have to say? Why are you protesting against them? Why are you protesting against them? These children are dead. You're a witch. You're a witch. How are you? What do you have to say about these women? Sorry, what do you have to say?
Okay, if we're being real here, are we actually pretending like these progressives don't care that these women were hurt or murdered? Like, is that what we're pretending like? Because they obviously do. But the narrative here, the epic troll, that for some reason people on the right both acknowledge is trolling and fucking with these progressive people and meant to, like, get under their skin, but at the same time try to claim, see, they've got no argument, debunked or whatever. But the point of this is to be like, see, these women were assaulted by migrants. So why aren't you anti-immigration? It's a non-argument. If somebody comes to insert country and breaks that country's law, they should face that country's justice. That's how we do things. That's how we do things in America, right? If someone comes here and they don't break the law, they should not be penalized because somebody else who's the same skin color committed a crime. Pretty basic stuff. Now you're coming here trying to weaponize real tragedies, real women who were hurt or murdered to try to push an anti-POC political agenda. You're literally trying to weaponize them. You don't care about them, and everyone there knows it. That's why they're upset. That's why they don't want to talk to you, because they know you're a piece of shit who's using real tragedy for views online. You're also recording it for... This isn't even for political propaganda. This is for an online social media grift, and they know it.
Hi, sorry. Do you have anything to say about these women that are dead? Women's rights, but you don't care that they're dead. Women's rights, but she walks away and she goes...
Thoughts on Me Too? Thoughts on Me Too. That'd be my main response. Thoughts on Me Too.
Yeah, off of women being dead. But yeah, she's here preaching about women's rights.
There's really no surprise here. They don't really care about women. They claim they care about women, but the only women they care about are the women who suit their agenda, the women who believe in what they believe in. You literally waved in front of them pictures of women who were abused, and they looked at you as if they were irrelevant.
Wait, so are those women who were abused right-wing? Like, do we just magically know that women who are abused by a minority are right-wing? Is that how it works?
It suits their agenda. They don't really care, and they never will care, and it's really sad.
What's hateful?
Saying that people are illegal aliens.
Okay, so let's define our terms here. What is an illegal alien?
An alien, I guess. But
see, they're technically alien to this land, and they're illegally here, so they're illegal aliens. There's nothing dehumanizing about that, bro. Just because we're calling them not human doesn't mean we're dehumanizing them. God, you fucking woke. You woke?
Okay, so someone from somewhere else that we don't know who they are. They did not come here the right way, right? Illegal, we don't know who they are. That's alien.
Yeah.
Illegal alien.
Here, I got this. Okay. Oh, thank you.
You guys are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Both of you.
That's a clip.
You guys are fucking cucks.
Well, why if we're stupid?
Get
Love you, brother. Said that we're hateful. That was hateful. I didn't say anything disrespectful towards him at all.
Do you think that guy was more hateful than these signs? I'm curious.
You're just putting all that shit out.
Do you think he was more hateful though? Because he just told us to go F ourselves and that we're effing stupid.
Literally telling immigrants to go F themselves.
None of our signs say immigrants go F themselves.
I'm just confused. Like, why are we talking about that?
Talking about all what? Problems in our
who's
country?
letting you guys come out here and like.
It's free speech. Do you know what a college campus is? It's funded by my taxpayer dollars here at Phoenix College because I'm a resident of Phoenix, Arizona. I pay taxes. My taxes go to this college right here and to.
I love how empty it is and how these are the only two people who are coming up to talk to them. Like, they are having clearly the most dry, like, nobody is showing up, nobody cares about their event. And these are the two people that come up to them, and they're immediately rude. They're just getting called losers, basically, by the only two people who have any interest in coming up to them. Also, it's not even that, like, no one's coming up to them. There's no one around to come up to them. Like, maybe this is just a really bad camera angle, or very bad two camera angles, but there's fucking no one there. There's no one here.
Your university, I don't know if you're on scholarship, on grant, and like, do you have a scholarship, or do you pay out of pocket? Like,
Y'all just this whatever.
Do you have a scholarship? Do you have a scholarship?
Yes.
I love how this is framed like they epically owned those kids, but those two kids are not like big online media sensations, clearly, judging by the crowd that they didn't pull. So two of their their classmates, those are two, like, I think two girls from their college, came up and basically called them losers and walked away. In the right-wing internet world, that is them getting an epic own on those foids, not two losers getting laughed at by the people they go to college with, and now nobody gives a fuck about them. Like, I cannot emphasize enough how big of a loser you have to be to think that this is impressive. Anyway, I've got nothing more to say about this guy, but hey, if you enjoyed this segment, or my videos in general, and you want to see more, then consider subscribing, and leave a like. It really does help in the algorithm, and you might get a chance at seeing more of my stuff in the future. Be sure to leave a comment as well, it really helps a ton, and of course, I hope to see you in the next one.